1967 wasn't just flower power and Sgt. Pepper. It was the year of swirling colors, garage rock, and weird little records that somehow broke through. Some came from bands you'd never hear from again. Others arrived like a breeze, made you feel something, and disappeared just as fast. Today, we're rewinding to the year the summer of love hit full bloom, to revisit the one-hit wonders that made their mark, then quietly faded. Some were loud, some were strange, some were beautiful in a way they probably didn't even realize. Let's dig up 10 of them, plus a couple of surprise tracks you might have forgotten you loved. 98.6, Keith F.
Morning sun, I say it's good to see you shine.
There's something about this one that just makes you feel better, like opening the curtains on a cold morning and letting the sun pour in. 98, 6-inch was Keith's moment, a warm, bouncy tune that told you love could cure anything. Goodbye cold, goodbye rain. It wasn't trying to be deep, just kind. Keith was 23, a Jersey kid with a Beatles haircut and a voice made for AM radio. He'd been knocking around as a teen idol, but this song hit different.
98.6, it's good to have you back again. Oh.
It cracked the top 10 in early 67, and suddenly he was everywhere. Then, nothing. The next singles didn't stick. The spotlight faded. But 98.6, that little time capsule of hope and sweetness, it stayed. You might remember it from a diner jukebox or drifting from the neighbor's window on a spring day. It's not about what it said, it's how it made you feel. Come on down to my boat. Every mother's son. It was short, sweet, and a little rebellious.
I don't know her name, she's a fisherman's daughter.
A guy begging a girl to ditch her chores, climb aboard, and just sail away. It hit number 6 in mid-1967, and for a few months, every mother's son looked like they were going to be the next big thing.
Come on down, my boat, baby. Come on down where we can play.
Clean-cut, college band types, kind of like a gentler version of the Monkees. They played their own instruments, had tight harmonies, and even scored a deal with MGM. But nothing else caught fire. Still, this one song became a staple, a soundtrack for teenage freedom and radio days. If you remember it, you probably still hum it without thinking. It wasn't deep, it was just fun. And sometimes that's all a hit needs to be. Love Power, the Sand Pebbles. You didn't need a lot of time with this one, just a few seconds of that groove, and it had you.
Where she walks down the street, oh, we don't care who we see or who we meet.
The Sand Pebbles came in low and cool, with something smooth, strong, and soul deep. The vocals didn't shout, they preached, like a Sunday sermon you could dance to. There was fire in the delivery, but something hopeful too, a groove that made you believe love could actually fix things.
We got love, power of them all.
The group came out of Harlem, signed to a smaller label, and suddenly found themselves with a top 30 hit. For a minute, it looked like they might go the distance. But after Love Power, they faded. No big follow-up, no full album that broke through. Just this one record, rich, funky, and overflowing with heart. You might have heard it at a school dance or spinning on a cousin's 45. And even if you didn't know their name, the song stayed with you. Because some voices don't need a second chance to leave a mark. Sunshine Girl, The Parade. It wasn't a protest song. It didn't trip out.
And we made contact. She touched my soul and I.
But in 1967, Sunshine Girl still found a way in. The Parade were 3 LA studio guys, including actor Murray McLeod, who pieced together one perfect track. The lyrics were light, the melody sweeter than most, and it caught just enough radio play to break the top 20. They didn't tour much. There was no big label push. Just one song that quietly hit, then disappeared. But if you caught it that summer, it stuck. Not because it was bold, but because it was simple. One good line, one clean hook, and a feeling that lingered longer than anyone expected. Do it again, a little bit slower. John and Robin and the In Crowd.
Kiss me, I love the way that you kiss me.
It didn't sound like much at first, but the hook wouldn't let go. Do It Again a Little Bit Slower crept into the top 20 in 1967 with a teasing chorus and a melody built for AM radio.
Do it again, just a little bit slower. Do it again, just a little bit slower.
John Abnor Jr. was a Texas singer backed by his father's indie label. Robin was a session vocalist. The in crowd wasn't a real band, just studio players brought in to fill out the sound. There was no album that broke through, no real follow-up. But for a moment, this track caught fire. And if you heard it, you probably still remember that line. Do it again, a little bit slower. It didn't have to mean much. It just had to be fun. I'm Gonna Miss You, the Artistics. This was the kind of song that didn't just play, it lingered. I'm Gonna Miss You came out in 1967, and if you were going through something back then, a breakup, a move, just growing up, this one hit different. It wasn't loud, no big strings, just a smooth, H-ing groove. And a lead vocal that sounded like someone trying to stay strong while falling apart. The Artistics were part of Chicago's soul scene, and this was their moment. The track made it to number 55 on the Hot 100, but on R&B stations, it got real love. You might remember hearing it late at night on a slow dance floor or alone with your thoughts. It never became a massive pop hit, but for a lot of folks, it said exactly what they couldn't. One listen, and you knew, this wasn't just a song. It was someone telling the truth. From the underworld, the herd. This one didn't sound like anything else on the radio. In 1967, From the Underworld hit the UK top 10 with sweeping strings, pounding drums, and a storyline lifted from Greek mythology. It was bold, a song about Orpheus and the underworld, wrapped in psychedelic pop and cinematic production. The band was fronted by a young Peter Frampton, just 17 at the time, long before his arena rock days. You probably didn't dance to this one, but if you heard it, you remembered it. It felt like a mini-movie, dramatic, moody, almost spooky. Most bands were singing about love. The Herd was singing about death, fate, and trying to escape it. They didn't stick around long. But this track still feels like a strange, beautiful detour from the summer of love. Let's Go to San Francisco by the Flower Pot Men was pure sunshine. Soft harmonies, dreamy vocals, and lyrics that felt like an open invitation to drop everything and head west. The Flower Pot Men weren't really a band. They were a studio project created by two British songwriters who'd been working behind the scenes. But this song caught on fast in the UK, climbing to number 4. It didn't make the same splash in the US, but if you ever stumbled on it, you probably thought it had to be from California. It was all there, the peace signs, the gentle tempo, the wide-eyed idealism. It may have been manufactured, but the feeling, that was real. And for a few minutes, it let you drift away to somewhere brighter. Birds and bees, warm sounds. It was weird, soft, spacey, and just a little bit hypnotic.
There you are, in the corner. No, it's no use you hiding from me.
Birds and Bees showed up on the UK charts in 1967 and didn't sound like much else at the time. The duo behind it, Warm Sounds, were more like a studio experiment than a touring act. But they tapped into something strange and sweet.
Sorry, dear, I can see you by the twinkle that shines in your eye.
The track swirled with layered vocals, floating guitar lines, and lyrics that didn't mean much, but felt like they did. It only reached number 27 in the UK, barely made a ripple elsewhere, and then, nothing. The group disappeared. But the song, if you ever heard it, it's stuck in a weird corner of your memory. Ding Dong, the witch is dead, the fifth estate. Yes, that Ding Dong, the one from The Wizard of Oz. But in 1967, the fifth estate turned it into a garage pop anthem, complete with harpsichords, pounding drums, and a dose of psychedelic weirdness. It wasn't a novelty track, at least not entirely. It was fast, tight, and surprisingly catchy, enough to hit number 11 on the Billboard Hot 100 that summer. The band came out of Connecticut, just high school kids at the time, and somehow ended up with one of the year's most unexpected hits. It was short-lived, of course. Nothing else they released caught fire. But this one, it still gets heads turning, because you don't forget a rock version of a children's classic. It was playful, bizarre, and kind of brilliant. And for a moment, it actually worked. Sit Down, I Think I Love You, the Mojo Men. Sometimes a song doesn't explode, it just settles in. Sit Down, I Think I Love You was written by Stephen Stills, but it was the Mojo Men who turned it into a hit in early 1967. Their version swapped out folk grit for soft harmonies, light orchestration, and a cleaner pop sound that climbed to number 36 on the Billboard charts. The Mojo Men were part of the San Francisco scene, but never quite fit the mold. They weren't heavy, they weren't political. But this track, it felt sincere. The kind of song you might have heard at the end of a long day. Low volume, maybe on a friend's record player, maybe alone. They never had another hit, but this one held on. Not because it shouted, but because it spoke clearly. Some were sweet, some were strange. All of them hit once and then vanished. But they didn't really disappear. They stayed in the background, in your memories, in old radios, in quiet corners of the internet, waiting to be heard again. So tell us, which one brought it all back for you? Drop your favorite in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe if you love finding the songs time almost forgot. Because sometimes, one hit is all it takes.